All right. So today we are going to be talking about how you can deploy your Node.js application to Heroku. How you can deploy your Node.js app with Heroku, and also use Heroku to link it up to your GitHub and do continuous integration and deployment. So this video is going to be showing all of that, and also how you can connect to your database, the MySQL database, and have everything functional. So the assumption is that you already create your application. So I'm going to be working with an application that's a sample application that we built. So this is a Node.js app. All right. So the first thing you want to do is to go into your package.json and ensure that things are put right. All right. Okay, yeah, before we come back here, let's look at the things that you need to know first. So if you go to everything that you need to know is here. If you go to devcenter.heroku.com, you have stuff depending on which language you're using: Node.js, Ruby, Python, Java, PHP, Go, Scala, Clojure, whatever. So now if you go to Node.js, you have everything that you want to know about the Node.js deployment and everything, how you can handle them here. So you can see the language support: Node, Ruby, Python, Java, just like where we're coming from. So this is everything about it. Getting started with Heroku Node.js, best practices and everything. So you can just, at your distance, look at it and some of the things that might be missing in the video. You'll be able to fill in the gap, and also they will continue to update this page. So the video at some point might get obsolete, but this should always be updated. So at some point in the future, this would always help. So if anybody picks up the video somewhere later in the future, so this will always help. Now, so what you want is deploying Node.js app on Heroku. Yeah, so this actually explains everything that you need to, everything that you need to do to deploy your application on Node.js, with the exception of the connection to database, and all of that is not listed here. And this is just about deploying with Heroku CLI. So I'm going to show you how you can deploy your application, maybe with or without the Heroku CLI. All right. So now, so the first thing I want to do is to set up the application I want to deploy. I've written my code. So let's say we have a sample application here, or my VS Code. This is an application. Now, so let me head straight to Heroku and create a Heroku account, because if you look at in the documentation that you have here, you have the prerequisites. The prerequisite is the Node.js and Node.pl. Of course, for you to do this, you must have, for you to be ready to deploy an application, you must have installed Node.js and npm. If you don't do that, there's no deployment. An existing Node.js app, of course, we already have that. A free Heroku account, so that's what you want to do now. So create an account, and then of course you may want to also deploy with Heroku CLI. So Heroku CLI is important though, to create your POC file and all of that. So if you go and say you want to create Heroku account, so if you don't have an Heroku account before, this is where you come to. Just sign up.heroku.com. This is where you're able to create a free account, your app platform, all of that. So supply this information is quite straightforward, and once you're done, you then log in. Yeah, so you're going to have validation, normal sign up process. So once you have that, you're logged in. Now, so I'm going to be logging in with a sample account I created just for this tutorial. So this has a small one application in. So but if you don't have an application, the first thing you would see is something like this interface. It will be something like this interface to just create a new app. But if you created one, so you're going to see something like this, and then you can always come here and create a new app, which he will land you back into that place. So let me call this one a sample sample deploy. So the application can only contain iPhone and this thing. So sample deploy. So let me put my Tide Lab. Alright, so because the application is supposed to be unique, because this is going to be used to generate your domain, your host address, so you need to put that right, and sometimes you can ensure that it goes with the name of the app that you're deploying. So let me call it Tile Lab. So this is available, so I have that is available. Which region? So you're going to choose which region, so you don't have to choose. There's no Africa here, there's no, so you choose US. So this particularly to know which server to be used to serve your applications, I suppose. And then you can add pipeline. You can add this application to a pipeline. So if you set it up now, you can set the pipeline up now, or you can set it up later. The essence of the pipeline is for you to do a continuous deployment. So when you push your code to Git, so the pipeline picks up and automatically deploys, like that. So all you need to do is just ensure that you've tested your code, and then you locally, and then when you push to Git, the rest is handled by Heroku. So deployment is handled by Heroku and everything like that. So we can decide to add pipeline now. So you can create a new pipeline. So I created a pipeline before, or you can create it later as you want. If you can just go ahead and create the application without a pipeline and add the pipeline later on. So let's say I'm creating a new pipeline now. So I'm creating a pipeline. So the name of the pipeline must have a name. So you give it a name. Say say Tile Lab, whatever name you want to give it, and it automatically suggests the name of the app. So and that goes well with me. And then in the Heroku deployments, there are two phases: normal, standards deployment. So you have the staging and production. Staging is where you test things out, and ensure that things are really working fine. The production is your client facing application. This one is visible. This is deployment. This is what client is seeing. Let's say a live application, for instance. So when you go into Google or you go into Facebook, you're interacting with the app real time. That is the production app. But then the staging app, they have a phase where they test everything and ensure that everything is fine. And staging app, mimics or it's similar to the production. It has similar environment, so everything works in that place. So everything that works is what gets into production. So the first thing you want to do is to deploy. Don't deploy straight to production. Deploy to staging, because things might break and all of those things, and your application will stop working if you deploy straight to production and things got broken. So what you want to do is to deploy to staging first and ensure that if everything breaks, they get fixed, and then when everything is stable, that's when you push it to production. So we're going to go into staging, and this is just creating, give it a name and staging like that. So we say choose apps. So we create the app. So this is just creating the space on what's it called, on Heroku. Now, so the deployment you want to do, you can see the connect to a pipeline. These assigns, this application is already connected to a pipeline. Manage pipeline and app stages and stuff like that. Now, so deployment method you want to use, you could use Heroku Git, use Heroku CLI. You can use GitHub Connect, and then you can use this. So let me say I want to use GitHub Connect. So I say I want to use GitHub Connect. Now, so if you are doing it for the first time, you're going to ask you to connect which repo you want to connect to. Search for your repository to connect. So let's say this. I connected one of my GitHub accounts to this. So if we have not done that, it's going to initiate that that connection process. So Heroku needs to GitHub needs to validate Heroku, authorize Heroku to use the application. So that interface is going to pop up. You have to do the authorization, you have to log in, and once you're done with that, so your account will be linked. It's a very simple, straightforward, but this is already linked, and that's not here. So when you click on it, the first thing is to ask you that you want to authorize. So you say yes, and then link it up, put your username and password and everything here. Then you can then search for the repository. So this is a sample distance. This is a sample distance. This is not my real distance. So we have some repositories are there. So I have 3-style lab. I have this ones here. So I think I already created a tiler, but I would, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to create. Let me go ahead and create a new repo, so that I don't so you can really follow through. So let me say I go to GitHub. So most of the times for my production app I use GitLab. So this is the same account I'm logged into, that Kendam account that is already linked to that Kendam account here. All right, so if I can come in here and create a new repository, for the sake of this. So the repository name, so let me call it Untitled Chapter. Don't get it twisted with so the repository name is already taken. I'm the one that took it, so let me call it Chapter. So that is fine. I decide if it is public or private, and all of that, and then whether I want to do add git ignore to the repository or whatever. So let me say I have this as just to kickstart the what's it called, the application. So but let me say I don't want to add anything to it, so initialize the repo with this. So I just want to create the repo like this. So you could add readme or put whatever it is you want to put. So now, so when you do that, you have this information. Create a new repository with this command. If the repository hasn't been created before, you can have that. Push an existing repository from this thing, so you can have this one as a new, this one like that. All right, so pretty much this is it. So we're going to come back. So we created this this repository. Now it's empty, it doesn't have anything into it. I've already created my code. So if you have been pushing your code to GitHub before, this process, you have to just keep it and just move forward. So but this one is like a brand new application that you have been writing your code locally. You haven't been pushing to a repository, and then you're now just creating a repository, then linking that that repo to Heroku to ensure that each time you push to that repository, it gets pushed to Heroku automatically. Now, so that we're going to go back to this page. Now, so by the time we come back to this page and we search, so we'll see the new applications I create, and this is it. Tyler, Kenlab, this is not like this. So this is the one I want to connect. So by the time I do this, say it's connected. So it said we are unable to access this connected. Either the repository is empty, unauthorized key, and also so the repository is really empty. So it's empty. Let's put some code into it. And push so that we can be sure that our this thing is, so the repository is really empty. So I'm going to go back to this. So this thing is really for some of you if you are new to Git. So you can, this is Git init to initiate a Git, and if you don't have any code, you use this one to create a readme. And if you don't have your readme already, you have commit, and then commit to which branch, and like that. So let me say that I go into my desktop, and okay, yeah, so let me just quickly do this. Git bash. So I go into my Git bash, So if you don't have a git bash, you install git bash, or you, of course, you need to install git bash too for you to have access to git. All right, so you need to install git for you to have access to git, not necessarily git bash, but I'm using a git bash to connect to. So I'm going to go into this folder, and this is where this code here, I want to push this code, this Tyler node. So, and it's here, it's inside this, it's on my desktop. This is it. So I'm going to go into that folder. So I'll say change directory to Tylab node. So I'll just drag that there and say enter. All right, so this is not a git distance here, so that's why you cannot see maybe which branch I am and all of those things. So the first thing I want to do is to do a git init to initialize this thing to it. So this initialize an empty git repo, and you can see that I'm now on master branch. So, and the next thing I want to do is to ensure that I don't push what I don't want to push, you know, to have a git ignore file. Because if you look at this now, this your .env should not be pushed because it contains sensitive information that you don't want to share with you don't want to make public, and connection to a database and all of so whatnot. So you don't want it to make, so you don't want to push it to repo. And then this one too, node modules is not meant to be pushed because it's a lot. So when you get to the server, you install that one also. So all the files that needs to be ignored should be ignored. All right, so what we're going to do, and Git wanted to help you that time, that if you want to help you to create, it could help you to create a Git ignore if you tell it to do that. But I'm going to create it myself. I could do that also from the terminal, but let me do it here. So I'll just say .git ignore, .git ignore. Okay, so you have that there. So here you put the files that you want to ignore that shouldn't be pushed to the repo. So something like this, node module, node underscore modules, which is a folder, shouldn't be pushed, you know, depending on this thing. So node module should not be pushed, and every other thing that you don't want in your repo, you don't want to make public. All right, so we have that. Now I haven't done this, so I'm going to git add dots. So when I say git add dots, is to add everything I've done, and that's everything that I want to be pushed. So you know, you can put all the stuff, backlog, back.json, and all those things, and then git commit initial commit. So it's put everything I want, and then git push. Now, so you can push straight to oh, there's no remote. I've not added any remote stuff to add to. So git remote add remote add. So I have to put this repository name, git remote add this repo. Yeah, so, and I can set upstream. So now, where is git remote add? Where is it? Remote add origin. I did not put origin. git remove add origin, and then put that origin there. Yeah, so now he knows where to push to. Now, so this guy is suggesting that you push to main, because you have main branch, which is the branch that goes to the staging server. So main branch or this thing. So let's say you push to master, because this branch is master. So git push. So you set upstream. Aha. So you could do this, git push, sorry, set upstream origin master. So because this is not a user account that I use, I'm not logged in, so I could configure it to always log in, but I don't want to do that. Because kenny@scalesolutionsng.com, and then the password is my password. Okay, so that is pushed. All right, great. Now, so if you go to your GitHub, we have the codes there. And so this is it. Now, so we have this branch here. There's only one branch, which is master branch. Now, if you go to your Heroku, so you can see that it's connected without issue. Now, so that complaint it was making is no longer there. So choose a branch to deploy. Which branch do you want to deploy? We're saying that we want to configure continuous integration, wait for CI to pass before deploy. So we can also set up CI here in the GitHub here. So the CI of GitHub would be passed first before before deploy. That is if you have done that, that's where we'll do it, but we don't want to go that route. So I'm just going to I'll just say enable automatic deploy. So I say enable automatic deploy from which branch? Sorry, which branch do we choose? Branch to deploy is master. Sorry, is automatic deploy. Sorry, I don't want to deploy this. Automatic deploy would already deploy this one. So this second one here is the manual deploy. That's if things are not if you are not setting up the automatic distance, so you can do the manual deployment. So but the automatic deploy is there, so each time you push, the pipeline will pick it up and then it will deploy it. Okay, the pipeline will pick it up and then it will deploy it. So right now your application is deployed. Your first application is deployed. You can look at it. You can have a leak. So let's say you go back to, you can open the app. Where is it? You can see it here. So you can see application error, and of course it's going to run into error. So when you see this, there's nothing to worry about. Is that you're getting close to the promised land. So you have this guy here, an error called while trying to this thing. So the first thing, what we've just done is to create an environment, and we've pushed our code there. Now, so the next thing we want to do is to get things to work in our code. All right, so let's